Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum Recovery Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about energy. One of the biggest, I don't know, I want to say post-acute withdrawal symptoms from people in early recovery and also in long-term recovery that I hear people talk about is chronic fatigue, tiredness, and especially like I think about my own story being a stimulant user, it was very triggering for me to be tired in my early recovery. Was really triggering because all I had to do was use a stimulant and I would be waking up again. But using stimulants is like borrowing tomorrow's energy. We don't want to do that. Not to mention addiction ruins our lives. All of that aside, we are talking today about the solutions to the problem, which means we actually have to first start thinking about, well, I cannot get healthy in the same environment I got sick. What is my environment? What's sucking my energy dry? We are going to look at this today at a subatomic level, a quantum level. So, what we know as fact today is that in our modern world, we are spending 90% of our time indoors. That is a lot of time. That is a lot of time inside under artificial lighting, no full spectrum daylight in our eyes. Many of us wear glasses, contacts, things like that. So even when we do get natural light, let's say we get into the car in the morning, drive to work, we have the windows rolled up in our cars. We then drive to an office where we are inside of another environment which has usually many a times windows, if there are windows in your office area or your workspace, they're not open windows. And even if they are, many times we're wearing glasses or we're wearing contacts. We're wearing something covering our eyes, preventing us from getting any natural light that we might get exposed to throughout the day. This is just due to the modern day conveniences that we also have. We have the buildings that we live in. We are all under a roof most of the day. This is just simple fact. And that number is about 90% of the time that we spend is in an indoor setting. This is what is actually also, when we're recovering, despite all of the things that our body's doing to get back into homeostasis, we are actually in the same environment. We are not learning about these things. So from a mitochondrial standpoint, our environment is really dehydrating and sucking the energy from our body's ability to actually, give us energy because we're not in an environment to get it. So what do I mean by that? So we have to remember that we actually get energy from three different ways. And we hyper focus on food. Food is one of the ways we get energy, but we also get energy from light. We often miss the light story. We all often miss the fact that we get most of our energy from light and the fact that our circadian rhythm is the light is driving it. The signals that we get from our light environment are driving that circadian rhythm. So, and that is the baseline of our health. If we can get that circadian rhythm on track, we are off to a good start. The other way we get energy is grounding. So, food, we get our energy from food, but most importantly, we get our energy from light and we get it from the earth. We get it from grounding, having contact with the earth. So, bare feet on the ground. Now, also another modern convenience is our shoes, right? Our shoes are rubber that's non-conductive. So today I'm going to talk about all the things that I could think of where our modern environment is taking our energy away. And I'm going to talk about the antidote to it. So your takeaways today are going to be what is the thing that is I have to address in my environment because it's using up my energy. And what can I do about it? Electrons. Electrons are what is moving through that electron transport chain. We are voltage. Our bodies are electric and they are counting on electrons. Our mitochondria are counting on electrons to give us energy. Well, I just was talking about that modern world, modern living environment. that environment is sucking the electrons out of our body. Okay. So I want you to think about your electrons as a currency of the body. So think about money. Money is a currency, right? So our modern environment, this is what our energy, we're just spend, spend, spend in that modern environment. We are 90% of our time indoors. We are spending our electrons on a constant basis. So it's no wonder we feel chronically fatigued. And then on top of it, we're in recovery from addiction. So that is a symptom of our recovery, anyways. So it's a double whammy here. So the things that we can do to give our body some of that negative charge back is going to be so critical for our recovery. So the first thing I want to talk about is artificial light. So artificial light, our phones, our TV, our screens, all are artificial blue light. I've talked about this extensively already. There's a couple episodes where I touch on this. I'm not going to dive into each one of these bullets, but what I'm going to tell you is what's stealing our electrons and then the antidote. So what would be the antidote for artificial light? It would be going outside, getting those light breaks. They're very, very critical. And last week I talked about sunlight in the stages throughout the day that we want to get that natural, beautiful, full spectrum light. So light breaks are going to be the antidote to that artificial light that is dehydrating our mitochondria, that's draining us of energy. So that is the first one. The next one is rubber-soled shoes. So I already touched on this one. Our shoes are disconnecting us from Earth. There are many different brands of grounding shoes that we can get. And I want you to take a look at my website under clothing. There are going to be a lot of different resources for you there if you are looking at getting grounding shoes. But what can we do now? What can you do right now? You can take your shoes off. You can go outside and ground in the bare grass with your bare feet. And in fact, when you're going out for those light breaks, if you can do it barefoot, that is going to be the best thing because you're getting that beautiful light energy into your eyes. Remember, making sure when you go out for your light breaks, you don't have your eyes covered with glasses. And by all means, do not wear your blue blockers out in the daylight. I saw somebody the other day, they must have been wearing their glasses for a stylish, maybe feature or accessory, I should say. They were wearing orange blue blockers in the middle of the beautiful sunny day. Don't wear your blue blockers outside. That outside is that light that you want to get in your eyes. Blue blockers they're meant to mitigate the artificial light inside, which is another thing that you can do if you need to mitigate that artificial light when you're indoors, is wearing blue blockers and then getting the natural light outside. But any which way, if you can do both those things at once, getting the natural light in your eyes and then also bare feet in the ground, that is going to allow you to collect electrons. Basically, the only place that you're not going to collect electrons if you're standing on asphalt. Asphalt is non-conductive. Make sure you're standing on rock, gravel, dirt, grass, sand. Wet sand on the beach is going to be the highest flow that you'll get as far as bare feet on the earth. So the next thing is staying indoors and not getting that natural light. So the antidote obviously is to get outside as much as you can. If depending on, your workday, if you're working in an office, taking those light breaks is going to be really key. I can't blanket statement and generalize and say we all smoked in our active use, but I know I smoked for many years. I smoked for over 20 years and I have not been smoking, I think it's going on 7 years now, but I used to take cigarette breaks all the time. And if you're still smoking, no shame. It's fine. But if you do smoke and you do go out for a cigarette break, my goodness, take off your glasses, put the bare feet in the grass, and at least get your electrons from your environment that way. But also to say, we all use, for those of you who don't smoke anymore, we all used to take cigarette breaks on a regular basis. And so now we take our light breaks. It's critical for our health that we get these light breaks. And I'm not promoting people smoking, but if you do still smoke, because that's just where you're at in your journey, my goodness, I smoked well into my recovery. I think 9 years. Yeah, 9 years into my recovery, I was still smoking. So if you are, that is actually, you're going outside to do that. So you might as well get your electrons from the light and into your feet. All right, moving on to the next one is sunglasses and contacts. We already kind of touched on this. The thing is that we can do is ditch the contacts. I used to be a avid contact wearer. I would always actually buy contacts over glasses every 2 years when I would get my eyeglass appointment. I don't waste my money on contacts anymore. Saving a ton of money on contact fluid. The reason I don't wear contacts is because I want to get my light breaks. And if I'm wearing, and I also try not to wear my glasses if I don't need them. I do not have them on. That's why you often see me with glasses on my head and maybe my blue blockers on. It's because I try not to wear my glasses if I don't need them, because I want my eyes to heal. And I have been getting a better prescription every year that I go to the eye doctor ever since I've been doing this. But if I was wearing contacts and I wanted to my light break, I would have to go into the bathroom, take them out, put them in fluid. I would also be using a lot more fluid as well, because, you're typically otherwise you're only using that fluid at night when you're taking them out, and then they sit in that fluid overnight, and then you put them back in the morning, and maybe you use a little bit of the fluid to clean them before you put them in your eye. All to say, you're going to save a lot of money, and it's going to be very you know, healthy for you if you don't wear the contacts. Also, your eyes get more oxygen. There are a lot of reasons. We actually, in a couple weeks, we will have a quantum eye doctor on the Quantum Healthy podcast, and we're going to go all into this stuff. But all to say is take off your sunglasses. Definitely take off your sunglasses. Definitely take off your glasses if you're outside, because it's blocking that beautiful light spectrum from hitting your suprachiasmatic nucleus, giving you, and your melanoptin receptors and all of that. It's preventing you from getting those light signals. So definitely take your glasses off. Closed windows. Closed windows are like having glasses on. So if you're in the morning saying, "Oh, Andeea, the sunrise is coming into my living room windows so beautifully in the morning. I always get sunrise." You actually don't get sunrise if your windows are closed. Windows are blocking most of that UV spectrum, if not all of it, and the infrared spectrum from coming in. So you're actually getting a concentrated form of blue light when the sunlight's coming through the window. So you really do need to open up the door or open up the window to let that beautiful light in. So the antidote to the closed windows is simply opening them, and also opening doors if that is more convenient, depending on how you have your room set up. Another thing that takes away our electrons, and I don't know too much about this, but it's the wind. So what can we control there? If it's windy outside, we can't really control that much, because the antidote to controlling the wind would be going inside. So that's, the only thing I would say is if it's super windy outside, go out there for your light break, and you're still getting double the information. So I would not say, like, if it's windy outside, don't go outside. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just a simple fact that the wind does actually, it takes away our electrons. And so I ride motorcycle, and on a motorcycle, think about that. I don't know if you've ever ridden on a motorcycle, but you do get tired. And that tiredness is from the wind. It's from the wind hitting you on a constant. So that's all I'll say about the wind. Of course, alcohol and drug consumption. Alcohol is a huge electron thief, and so it's going to take away our energy. Of course, we are all here in recovery trying to do the best that we can. And so obviously the antidote is abstinence there, as far as it goes from an electron mitochondrial standpoint. The antidote to the alcohol and the drug consumption would be to not use those things, from an energy standpoint. Non-native EMFs. So non-native EMFs are things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, wireless devices. Do try to have your devices that you're using, like headphones, the Apple Watch, that's like having you're just basically, what we're talking about is radiation here. So you literally have radiation. The little ear pod things, those are radiation going right into very close to your brain. So, there's many people posting now with the meter, with the phone next to it. It shows you. Another thing on the phone, I want to say, so maybe I can show it to you really quick. So the little icons, here they are. So the little icons, right? These. So when you have, let's see if I can do this backwards. If you have for those of you listening, I'm in the upper left-hand corner of the screen on a phone. So you see how all of them are lit up? That's like having 3 cigarettes lit. And that is not a quote from me. That is a quote from Sarah Hodgson, who I listened to a podcast she was doing, and I just love that she said that. She said, this is like having 3 cigarettes lit. So we don't need the Wi-Fi on. We don't need the Bluetooth on right now. In fact, I don't even need my phone on right now. But so I'm going to have it on airplane mode. And also any devices. So inverse square law is like having that device as far away from you as possible, of course. So your Wi-Fi router, things like that, like the farther you are away from that, the less radiation it will be. But that's what Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is, in the 5G and all that. It's radiation on the body. We can't see these frequencies. Often we don't even feel them. I know for me, like I feel like my tinnitus, I have like a constant ringing in my ear. And when I go out in nature and when I'm farther away from the towers, I don't hear that as much. It's not as loud. But otherwise, if I'm like in the city, like I live in Portland, Oregon, so it's like, I'm in a city. It's like a constant buzz because I'm talking about it right now. It's really loud. But if I'm not like thinking about it, it typically doesn't bother me. It's in the background, but it is a constant ringing. I do believe that that is the environment we live in now. I think and that's why many doctors say that there's nothing that they can do about it. Well, of course not, because we all have this modern convenience of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all these things. And if that's going to go away, we would like be in nature. We would be like in a forest bathing, and not be near these, you know, really high frequencies that we're not supposed to be exposed to on a constant basis, that as humans we were never supposed to be exposed to this at long periods of time, but we are, because that's the modern world that we're living in. And I am not telling anybody to go live in the mountains and run away from life. I'm sharing with you the things that we can do to mitigate. So I have a cosmic tower in my house. So that's a harmonizer. There's information on that on my website. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now, but there's other kinds of harmonizers that basically so the way my teacher, Carrie Bennett, explains it is, so the wave is really, it's very chaotic, these frequencies coming in. And what harmonizers do is it just it evens them out, and it allows for our bodies to handle it better. So and some people believe in harmonizers and some people don't. I truly do believe that it's working. So I have one of those in my house, and I also have a little cover, silver cover for my Wi-Fi router that takes the Wi-Fi down like 50%. So in our homes, the Wi-Fi that's going off your router is actually much stronger than you need. You don't need that big of a signal. So I have a cage from Intuition Physician. I have a link in the show notes for the information, but it's basically a little cover. It just goes right over the router, and that mitigates the signal. So because I do not, I actually had my house assessed for hardwiring the internet. That would be another solution, is to hardwire the internet. And if you go on to Tech Wellness, which is another resource on my website, and I'll put it in the show notes, Tech Wellness is a amazing resource. They have the earphones that won't allow for the non-native EMFs to go into your ear. They have the tube. So does VivaRays. They have a pair too. That's actually the pair that I own, is the VivaRays ones. I love them. It keeps everything. We want our cordless stuff. We want it to be wired. We don't want cordless, because that's just an extra signal that's unnecessary, and it's dehydrating your mitochondria. Remember, it's part of what is sucking our energy away. Our body's working way too hard, and it is part of the reason we're chronically fatigued and tired all the time. It's lowering our energy. So non-native EMFs, wireless devices, Wi-Fi, all of that, like ways we can mitigate that. There's lots of information on techwellness.com. It's an amazing resource. And if you want information to hardwire the internet, you would find it there. That would be another source. Now, I'm full disclosure, I do not have hardwired internet. I had my house assessed for it, and it just didn't make sense. There would have to be a lot of drilling done, and the people who like, and we're not going to be in this house for a long time. So that was another factor why we didn't do it. So instead, what I do to mitigate my Wi-Fi is I use that cover, and I also turn off the Wi-Fi at night. Of course, when I'm sleeping, the Tech Wellness sells an amazing kill switch. It's literally like an on-off button for your Wi-Fi, and you just turn off the Wi-Fi at night. That is also going to help you get a better sleep, which will lead to more energy. And yeah, so that is all I'll say about that. So microwave ovens, are also another form of radiation. They suck the moisture also out of your food. They turn your food into positive energy. We don't want to eat positive energy food. We don't want to eat processed food. Processed food is also a positive charge, which is going to make our body have to work to turn it into energy and turn it into that negative charge. It's extra energy. It's wasteful, basically. So don't want to use microwave oven. I have not used a microwave oven. Oh my gosh, I do not even know how long I haven't had one. Probably a decade now. I have not used a microwave oven. It is a little bit of an adjustment at first, because you're like, how am I going to heat up this cup of coffee? Or how am I going to heat up whatever? It's like, I would never go back now. It's just like a non-issue. I was really reliant on a microwave for warming up leftovers and things like that. There are so many other ways, and my food tastes so much better than using a microwave. So if you want tips and tricks on that, I'm a coach. I'm here to help you with all the things. And we can go dive into that and what my journey looked like if you wanted to work with me one-on-one. We can do that. But that's all I'll say about that. Is it was a little bit of a rocky road at first, but it was probably within a month, I had solutions to everything, and I would never go back. So we covered processed foods. So processed foods, basically, the more, if there's ingredients on the side of your food, that means it's processed in some way, shape, or form. So when we're eating processed foods, it's positively charged. Also, even when we eat whole foods, so let's say we pick some vegetables or some fruit. Right now it's summertime, so there's plenty of fruit and carbs in the environment. So we're all eating that more right now. And that's also, the UVB light in the environment allows for us to process that. It's a beautiful thing. It's seasonal eating, right? But within 60 hours, 40 to 60 actually, hours of picking that piece of food, it loses its charge. It's no longer negatively charged, and it is now positively charged. And that just means our body has to do a little bit more work. So there's that. But when it comes to processed man-made foods, that's very, very positively charged food. So those types of foods, we want to really be mindful when we're consuming them. Of course, there's going to be times when you might have to consume those things, but as you eat more real food, and as you eat, if you are on a food journey and you're changing the way that you eat, maybe your goal is just to try to limit processed foods. Maybe that's the goal. I know that what is a goal for me. I'm always trying to get away from those conveniences, and you learn. You start to adjust, and because you feel so good, you know, you do it, and you realize that, like, I know I was addicted to those foods, addicted to sugar, all the things. I still am in a way, because I'm still a sugar burner. I eat fruit, I eat carbs, and so I have to be very mindful when I'm eating those things, especially in this season, because this is the season of summer, and my my addict mind is like, well, it's in season, so I can eat all the fruit. No, I have to actually be very mindful about my fruit consumption and what I'm eating. But anyway, we could talk about food, but I don't want to concentrate on food here. It is one source of energy that we get. And of course, we want our food to be as healthy as it can be. And we want it to be as local and as seasonal as it can be. But all to say, processed foods are positive and whole foods are more close to a negative charge. And so that is what we would want to consume. Now, negative people. Are you old using friends? Negative people who have a negative mindset, they actually suck our energy. So we want to find our community. We want to find people who bring and lift us up in life. We want to be around like-minded people. I think Simon Sinek says we are a product of the 5 people we hang around most. So who are you hanging around with? I try to hang around people that have reached goals higher than that I have reached. That's who I hang around. That I want, because I'm always trying to be better than I was yesterday. Because I want to help a lot of people. I have big goals. I want to help all the people in recovery around the whole world. I want to get this message to them. That is a big goal. I cannot do that by hanging around people who are negative or don't believe in what I believe in, or, think that it's woo woo or something like this. I can't afford that, or my message will never get to the people that I want to help. And the people I want to help is you, the listener, you who are hopefully sharing this with other people. When you hear this information, I do hope you're sharing it with other people in the recovery community, because this is not being talked about. This is not that I'm aware of. I think I'm the only one talking about quantum health in how it relates to addiction recovery and healing and our healing process. So I just want you to think about who are the 5 people you hang around most, and ask yourself, are they negative? Do I need to start hanging around people who have a more like-minded and have actually goals that are higher than, like, they've achieved goals higher than mine. So they could help me on my journey. And, this is also, being of service. It's like the sponsor relationship too in the 12-step community. Like, you are helping that person and that person is helping you. It is a beautiful relationship. That person is going to get a lot out of helping you. So it's not in a selfish way you are saying, oh, how can that person help me? I just want to make that clear. It is, how can you help each other? How can you lift each other up? And so that is all I'll say for that. So eating out of season, I really touched on food enough, but that's on the list here. Asphalt, we already talked about that. Using fluoride products. Fluoride is a neurotoxin, and fluoride is going to mess up your mitochondria and the electron transport chain. So you do want to use like toothpaste and things that don't have fluoride in it. I will be going over what I have learned, all the dental things that I've learned. And we'll also be having a quantum dentist on the Quantum Healthy podcast, so you all can learn directly from the quantum dentist. But there is absolutely no reason for that to be in your mouth. Now, it is also in our water, and we do want to either we need to be filtering, or we need to be changing the energy of our water. I am now a proponent of changing the energy of my water, because changing the energy of the water is going to break the covalent bonds from all the toxins in the water, and it will negatively charge your water. So you're actually consuming negative water. And next week on the Quantum Healthy podcast, we are going to be talking to and interviewing Robert Gourlay, who is a researcher, 30 years in structured water research, and his device absolutely does that. That's the device I now have on my house, and it is also the portable water device that I use to change my water. I no longer use filters or filtration systems, and he'll be talking more about that. But I do want to mention that would be a solution, is energizing your water and also using products that have no fluoride and are as natural as possible. And the last thing I will say, we lose electrons through mouth breathing. So there are a lot of, anyway, that I see like on Instagram and whatnot. They're showing like the profile of people's faces when they are mouth breathers and when they're not. And mouth breathers are going to have I don't even know what the technical terms are here, but basically their chin kind of drops down more closer, or their neck rather, this part underneath is going to be dropping down more, and like this kind of. And so that's from breathing through the mouth. There are also a lot of other reasons we do not want to breathe through the mouth, but from an energy standpoint, what we're talking about today, you will lose electrons from mouth breathing. How do you know if you're a mouth breather? Well, I know my husband, whenever I'm a mouth breather, he would like take pictures of me when I would like fall asleep on the couch or fall asleep watching a movie. And I was always like with my mouth open. So I had to train myself to breathe with my mouth closed. And I just put a piece of tape. I like the tape that goes up and down on my mouth because I don't like my whole entire mouth being shut, and I don't see that it's necessary, but I have used also the tape that goes on the entire mouth. So it's just really your personal preference. But once you're I feel once you've trained your mouth or yourself to not be a mouth breather, you probably won't need the tape that covers the whole mouth. The little piece in the middle will be fine. Also, if you like to take a sip of water at night, like if you wake up in the middle of the night, I typically, since doing all these practices, I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore to pee. I don't wake up in the middle of the night for much, but every once in a while, I will wake up or toss and turn and I'll want to drink a water because my throat will be dry. And so if that is the case, I like to have I have a straw that I can still sip on my water. But the more and more that I've been doing this, the more and more I've been noticing like I don't I don't actually need that water in the middle of the night. And I also don't get up in the middle of the night to pee anymore. So these are just some little things I've noticed. And I've also added this to the description on the Quantum Recovery Reset on the website. So if you sign up for emails, last week I gave you all the nitty gritty of the things I have noticed since doing quantum practices the last 4 to 5 years. So I hope is helpful and, may motivate you. I know a lot of my problems were other people's problems, and this definitely offers a solution. So today we covered how we lose electrons and then how to create an environment that will allow you to take your energy back really and not be spending your energy currency all day, but allowing yourself to really grab the free energy that is in our environment. It's a beautiful thing. And this is all to say we are following Mother Nature's rules when we do all the antidotes that I listed. So I hope this was helpful for you and gives you a little bit of a different perspective about energy. And if you are experiencing post-acute withdrawal syndrome and chronic fatigue, tiredness, energy loss is a issue for you, or you know somebody who's either in short-term recovery or long-term recovery that this might help, please share this episode with them. Please share this podcast with them. This is who I am trying to serve here. And just humbly asking for all to be of service and share this information with others. So all to say, that is the end of today's podcast. Drink water. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found value in this information. And if you did, please share it. Another way to support the podcast is to leave a 5-star review. If you want to connect, you can message me on Instagram or email me at andearay@outlook.com. And remember, drink water.